Hey everybody, so this is sort of unexpected. I had talked about the last Country Roads Take Me Home that we were going to go to Charter Day at the Isaac Meier Homestead. We are heading there now. I wasn't sure whether I was going to or not because my foot's been sort of painful and it's okay. It's just sort of, I have those days where I did a lot of walking more than I normally do on Thursday night. It was fine until they undid the bandaging and it sort of stirred things up and made it a little uncomfortable. But I just did the bandaging. It feels better. But I'm heading over here a lot later than I was originally intending. And then I had gotten an email from Kate. And she said, yeah, it's snowing here, like really bad. And I was like, wow, it's not doing anything here. Well, let's turn this around. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but man, it is coming down. Ooh, I hit a nice branch there. It's extraordinarily windy today. But I'm heading on my way over. It's about 3 o'clock. They were doing this from 1 to 4, so I'm not sure if we get over there, if we're actually even gonna, if anybody's gonna be there. I mean, maybe there will, and we'll be able to walk through the house again. But there's a couple different crafts. They're gonna talk about money and just some of the different stuff from back in that period, you know, 1600s, 1700s, the things that would have been important. And it's funny because you see, look, it was like all blue sky over there. So this is just some weird snow squall that came through, but there's white on the ground. I wish I had gotten the stuff earlier because it was like, I mean, it was like white out. It was nuts. So, yes, Kate, we got snow out here. I don't think they were calling for that or anything. This is just some bizarre weather event that came out. It's cold enough, you know, that it was going to come down. I'm assuming cold air up higher, and because it's in the like mid 40s here in central Pennsylvania. But dang, that was something. Just sort of burst out of nowhere and came out there. But anyways, so we're heading over there. Even if nobody's there, I'm going to talk about what Charter Day is. Maybe talk a little bit about Isaac Meier. He's one of those guys that would have gotten their own individual land charters or whatever you want, the grants that he would have got from the Penn sons, because William Penn, I'll have to look it up to see. I'm not sure if he ever came over. His father was pretty high in like admiralty, I believe, like, and I guess the crown owed William Penn's father quite a bit of money. So how they paid off that debt was by not giving this colony charter to William Penn, the son. And he was a very, very interesting man. He became a Quaker. So Quaker politics and their beliefs sort of ruled over Pennsylvania, which was a good and could be a bad thing at times, because as we talked about in the French and Indian War, the Quaker politics and beliefs sort of got in the way because they felt like you could negotiate and everything could have a peaceful solution, which I believe a lot of times is probably a correct assessment, that you can work things out, but there are times it just isn't going to be possible ultimately, and that is all part of Pennsylvania's history. I found it interesting because I never knew that the Delaware counties, I guess I said there was like 3 Delaware counties that were given to William Penn as well. I didn't realize that Delaware was actually part of the original Pennsylvania agreement, but then eventually, that's something that we'll have to look at with that series. I didn't know that about my hometown history, why Delaware broke off from Pennsylvania. I'm sure there's a good reason, but probably part of it being south of Pennsylvania's line, and just that might have been part of the pacification of the issue with Maryland, with the line not necessarily being determined like they would have hoped to. Maybe that was part of it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just being honest. Something that I got to learn with you guys. Maybe somebody knows and we can go from there. But anyways, Charter Day, the idea behind it is it's celebrating the time when the charter was given by the King of England to William Penn. And there's a number of different historical places, like Effort of Cloister. I saw Lewis from Simply Exploventuring. He was potentially going to that one at the Effort of Cloister, which is somewhere we need to go at some point. And there's like a really angry cloud there. I'm guessing that's all like snow. So this band of whatever this is. But up there on the hill, that's where we visited the Schaefer Cemetery the one time when I went through that cornfield, like the thick cornfield, and I came out of that looking pretty filthy, because I was. I thought it was a good idea. I should have waited a couple weeks till they took the corn down, but I was like, nah, this will make for a cool video, which it did, but I definitely had to take a shower after that, because I was covered in corn dust and filth, and had to fight a bunch of groundhogs. But I won, I guess. At least I can say I can. But anyways, so we're going to stop this shortly because we're coming up on Myerstown here in a little bit. And we'll talk more about Charter Day and see if they're still there. And here we are in Myerstown, Pennsylvania. Called this place home for 15 years. I love to walk the streets here. The architecture is beautiful. Extraordinary amount of history. And we're going to see here in a little bit whether there's anybody still here at Isaac Meier Homestead. I hope there is, but if not, I get it as well. It's hard with these small events, just how things work out and stuff like that, whatever. I mean, it just is what it is. I wanted to make it to it right at 1, and here we are at 3:15, so whether there's somebody here or not anymore, it does look like there are people there, so we'll see. We will run in here and see what we will see. So here is Isaac Meier Homestead, here for Charter Day. They are open. Just gotta wait for the traffic. And we'll see what happens. We may wind out, this might actually be a pretty cool thing, because we'll wind out having to place all ourselves. I think the filming, whatever I'm going to do, is all going to be inside, because I do not want to, the wind is so bad in this phone, as you guys all know, it does not do well in the wind. Alright, so I apologize the wind if you wind out hearing a lot of that, but you can actually see the smoke, so they actually have that thing running, which is awesome. This is such a beautiful place. We've been in here before. We were down here for, they had the country fair with Cliff, the Wandering Woodsman, and Lewis from Simply Exploventuring. And really is a neat event. It's so pretty here. They've done such a phenomenal job at the Isaac Meier Homestead to preserve this place so people can enjoy this. And this was originally, as we said before, this was owned by Isaac Meier's father-in-law, and ultimately he wound out losing it because French and Indian War, his crops and things like that had been burned, and basically I just heard too there's like some possibly investments that had gone south, and then eventually the guy that he owed the money to, Casper Wister, called in his debts. They took the home. Isaac Meier eventually, with his wife Catherine, bought this, and they actually added on, I believe, this part right here. But this is a beautiful, beautiful home. But let's go inside. There's something I want to show too. They have this thing that they do. It's called with Myerstown Recreation. It's the winter giving fence, and they have all these hats and things like that for people that are in need. And just with the way the economy is right now, that's a really neat thing. So kudos to Myerstown Recreation for running this. Things like this really make a difference in people's lives. So very, very cool. So let's go inside. Let's see. Watch your step for those of us that are not that adept. Hey.
Hey, John. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Let me open this door for you.
The cripple's having trouble.
Yeah. It's smoked in here, so
Yeah.
that's why the door's open.
And there you guys get to see what a fire is like in here. You guys cold?
A little bit. I'm good as long as I stand over at the fire.
Yeah, that snow came out of nowhere.
Oh, I know. It was crazy.
I wanted to get here at like 1, and my foot's been giving me a little bit of issue today, and I was like, oh, let me see how it goes. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to get over there, hopefully around 3.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to turn around.
Yeah.
They didn't call for this.
Yeah. I know. That's what I said to her. I just took the weather and we were calling for it.
Wow. There's all kinds of stuff that they would have had back in that time period, 1700s. This is how a home would have looked at that stage. Here you guys can see one of the crafts from back then. So what is it that you're doing here?
Spinning wool into yarn. Using the, well, I'm sitting here just putting it in such a way that the machine, the wheel, is doing all the work. Although I'm supplying the power to the wheel.
Yeah. You have to see how beautiful this home is, and this would have been, they would have been very affluent people. They were, they actually had a plantation. It was one of many. There's about 3, I think, here in Myerstown, Jackson Township region. Would have had a lot of livestock. Would have grown a number of different crops, and this is pretty neat getting to see one of these weavers. You get to see the walls here. I think currently the upstairs is something that they're still working on to try to get, but it's just neat to see this aspect. I mean, they made all their own clothes. They didn't have a Walmart or anything like that, so this was something that they had to be very, very good at and understand how to do. Here's the stairs going upstairs. This would have been one of the bedrooms, and you do get a general feeling of you would have wore a number of layers of clothes because it's pretty chilly in here. And you, like I said, you're talking outside; it's like in the 40s, but needless to say, it's chilly in here. If you're near the fire, it ain't bad, but you get to see some of this needlework and get the window out of view there, but you get to see, like, this is just the stuff that they would have done in that time period. And that would have been how you would have taken a bath. Sort of wonder if they just slipped the other bed out, and that's what the kids would have slept on. You just see how, I mean, they'd have. We live very, very differently today, no doubt, than they did back then. They had very little, and what you had, you utilized at all times, and you fixed things. You didn't throw things away. That was just not how it was done. But yeah.
Oh, wow, that I've ever been this cold in this building. When I'm
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah, this is, I was saying earlier in the videos in there, it's like, well, I can, you know, if you're in a room with a fire, it isn't terrible, but like, wow. Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing good.
So this is the blue room.
Klautzimmer.
Yeah, and that's German, correct?
Yes, Dutch.
Dutch, Pennsylvania Dutch.
Deutsch.
My dad, when they went to the haircut, all the guys, the older fellas, spoke Pennsylvania Dutch, and they'd be making fun of me because I'm a little kid and I could catch a word here and there, but overall I had no clue what they were saying. They were constantly teasing.
I've been in Germany for 18 years, so it's been a while, but I'm still fluent in it, especially just everyday stuff. But even so.
Let's see all that.
Dutch is a little different than German, but depends what part of Germany you were.
I was in the Stuttgart area.
Stuttgart.
And then in a city called Aalen, which is due east of Stuttgart, still in Baden-Württemberg in that state, but very close to the Bavarian border, is where I was. And there they have a Swedish dialect, which is quite similar to the Pennsylvania Dutch, which I think basically came from the Palatinate dialect. I'm not sure.
Somewhat.
But
Tic-tac-toe.
anyway,
Pennsylvania
cool.
Dutch, I think, is a mix of a couple of different languages, including English. Because there's a lot of words that
yeah.
aren't, that the Germans and the Dutch don't have, but the English do.
Uh-huh.
I looked it up already in the Pennsylvania
So
Dutch.
you guys get the
dictionary.
chance, definitely come out here at one of the events. I'll let you guys know what the events all are here at the Isaac Meier Homestead, but this is a really neat place. So thanks for coming along, everybody, and we'll talk a little bit more about Charter Day. All right, so we're gonna finish up here. Wow, it is cold out there. That wind is brutal. It's actually cool. The one lady that was in there, the one that was spinning the wheel, she is actually the narrator when we did the Union Canal Tunnel Park. That's the one I want to go back and get the rest of that tour, because the phone died about halfway in, because we didn't even get into the tunnel, I don't believe. And that was the coolest part, because she was just making it come alive. I just told her, it's like, you did such a fantastic job. It's one of the best narrations I've ever been around, because it's just, when people are passionate about this, when they're very knowledgeable, it makes history come alive. And this was really, really cool. I got to talk to that gentleman in the sort of like Revolutionary War era outfit. He was talking about a bunch of different things. Really, really cool. The money there, you can see like the different coins from that era. They used to strike them. So a bunch of those are probably 1600s, definitely 1700s era coins from all different types of places. And that's, what it would. And he said, like, some of the cool facts he was talking about, like where the term a buck came from. Well, they would get $1 for a buckskin, like a deer skin. And that's where a buck, and it also has called a sawbuck, which it makes sense. It would be for a $10 bill, because the X would be 10 in Roman numerals. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool things. He was actually talking about, I guess, Robert Coleman. Like, one of the common things we talked about in the Civil War at Man of the Gap iron furnace, that they in essence bought some of the prisoners of war. Well, something that was pretty common back in that era, they would buy the Hessian soldiers, who were sort of those are the guys that were the British Empire would pay them to come and fight for them, because that was like, you see the painting of Washington crossing the Delaware on Christmas, where they attacked them. That was Hessian soldiers. So I guess Robert Coleman, he actually bought a bunch of these Hessian soldiers for some of his iron furnaces and that type of stuff. And a lot of them actually would ultimately stay here and create a new life for themselves, because they were actually talking about that down in Mannheim as well. That was done, I don't know if it was Baron von Stiegel, but one of those guys there had bought a number of those Hessian soldiers, and they actually, I think one of them was saying her ancestors, some of them were these Hessian soldiers. But yeah, so this is Charter Day, extraordinarily cold day. I felt sort of bad for everybody that was in there. They had the fires going. It was reasonably warm next to the fires. My hands don't handle that well, so I just said, so it's 4 o'clock now, but it was a really cool time stopping in there and being able to show you guys the Isaac Meier Homestead again, showing you the fires, talking a little bit about the different stuff that there was there in that big room where they had, it was a loom is what that's called. The one lady had talked to me about some of that stuff. I think I actually have this book, but it's like $2. I paid $5 for donate here. But they have a number of different really cool books. I sort of was looking at the walking tour, like the introduction. I'm not sure that all that stuff is correct necessarily, but I'll have to research a little bit more, because sort of what I've researched and seen, Isaac, the Herculode, who was his father-in-law, here they said he died and he left a bunch of debts. I've read different things that originally he had made a bunch of bad investments, and when everything came back around, then he lost everything. And then Isaac Meier and his wife Catherine, who is the daughter of the Herculode, they wound out buying the place and then adding on like the summer kitchen and that type of stuff. But here he said that the town was originally, I thought the earliest name of the town here was called Tulpehocken Town, which Tulpehocken River is land of the turtle in Lenape. I believe it's Lenape. And anyways, they said it's actually named another name, which that may be very well true, but the grant that was given here for the actual town, the land that would eventually become Myerstown, Isaac Meier's the one that laid it out. So I'm not quite sure. Sometimes there's certain, and it depends too, like sometimes if somebody's able to find something that say is earlier, that information is there, maybe it gets lost over time. But regardless, Charter Day, it's the 343rd anniversary of the charter of the land that was given to William Penn by the King of England in payment for his father, who was owed a great deal of money. He was also given this land that was the 3 counties called the Delaware counties, which eventually broke off. We will research that more and see what the real story is there, because we didn't know that about our hometown history. But this has been another fun day. Very, very freaking cold. Thank God I have a heater. The snow's going bye-byes. But thanks once again, everybody, for coming along. Another adventure. Just fun little thing that we got to do here. And as always, we'll see you all about town.